Let's get into it. Soul Not For Sale podcast, episode 589. I got the wife with me.
Hello.
We're almost at episode 600.
That's amazing.
It's been a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
Been a very fun ride. 73,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody. Let's get right into it. We're talking about Jimi Hendrix. We got some Joe Rogan clips. Joe Rogan says something to Oliver Anthony, which sparked this episode idea because Jimi Hendrix is a very well-known figure by Joe Rogan. He's very interested in him.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're going to get into that some more. All of that ties in. I'm going to blow her mind. And I'm going to blow yours as well. There's some things in this episode about Jimi Hendrix and the connection to Joe Rogan as well. Some interesting things. I can't wait to get into this. But how you been?
Good. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good. Been doing episodes. I'm always excited to get you on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because you read things for me.
That's true.
It's such an important element to podcasting. People have no idea.
I'm the Jamie.
Exactly. But once I get to the point where you're controlling this screen, that's it. My life is set. It's nothing else. You get me like a person over here talking some stuff. Oh, it's going to be perfect. The podcast is growing. Believe me. People are always like, what are you doing? Why don't you cover more? I got a plan. Trust me. Going to see this thing grow into something beautiful, I think.
It already is.
Well, it's going to grow into something more. Like right now, this is like just coming out of the ground kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I got plans. But what do you want to do first? I want to go with the Oliver Anthony clip first,
Yes.
unless you have something more important.
Yeah, because it sparked the idea.
Okay, so let's start there then. Let's go into that. But before I do, you thought you got away without the store. No, the store always comes up. This is IamCoachColin.com, and this right here is the Public Enemy #1 shirt. Check it out. Google the World Economic Forum, Google Agenda 2030. You'll understand why this gentleman is public enemy #1. And we have the Certified Pure Blood shirt. For those of you that survived the pandemic, unscathed and untainted, this is your certificate of achievement. Good going on you, strong-minded individual you are. And we have the shot heard around the world, the mug shot that is, of the man, the myth, the legend. In some people's circles, they still call him President Trump. They do not say former in some circles. You know that? Mm-hmm. This is the presidential mugshot tee. All of that's available on IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off of anything you just saw, including, we might release that. You got to let me know if you actually want the black and white. But the discount code is IamCoachColin. All capital letters, all one word, one L in the name, Colin, gets you 10% off. And if you've done that with us already, we both appreciate it so much.
Very much.
You have no idea. All right, so let's get into this first clip. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Now, within this clip, I am going to have to skip over one thing. They're going to play his song. I'm not sure if Oliver Anthony is at the point where his songs are being copyrighted and this and that. So, not sure yet. So, I'm just going to skip over it. If you want to hear the song that they're about to listen to together, it's Ain't Got a Dollar. I believe that's what it's called. Ain't Got a Dollar.
I think
So I just got to skip over that. All right, let's get into it. And this clip I should actually break down. Oliver Anthony is talking about what made him start putting out music the way he did. What made him start wanting to release things. And it kind of has a dark origin story because he didn't know if he was going to be around long enough to bring it out later. Not just because he was sick or anything like that, but because of mental health issues that he was having throughout his life. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I'm very glad that he made this episode about mental health and God more than anything. Kudos to him. Now let's get into it.
To keep trying to fight and get out of whatever it is I was in, but it was almost like at some point I thought I was going to do it almost as a fight or flight response, like that I couldn't escape whatever it is that I was in, and like that was going to eventually be my only way out. And so as sad and as whatever, like, and I hate even talking about this, but I feel like I should talk about it. I mean, where else to talk about it but on Joe Rogan? But it's like that was one of the things that compelled me to throw a lot of these videos up just off my phone. You know, like it's funny when I had those songs, and maybe I still do. I haven't looked at the charts in a week or whatever, but I had stuff on iTunes that was like in the top 2 or 3 spots, other songs. Those were just recorded off my Android phone, uploaded on YouTube. I ripped a WAV file off the YouTube video and then just uploaded through DistroKid, and so like people were buying like the number 2 song on iTunes at one point. I think it was "Ain't Got a Dollar," and that's just the audio from the YouTube video. But I wanted to get all those. I had a lot of these songs sitting around
from the phone,
from my Android
microphone?
from my front camera on my Android phone. Yeah, and so like
it sounds pretty good.
I wanted to get all that up though because I really didn't know, like I didn't know if I was going to be around to do it. Like,
can you pause that for a second? Let's listen to that. I want to hear that. If you don't get freaked out and uncomfortable, listen to your own voice.
That's okay. No,
okay, good.
No, I like
Let's listen
it
because I want to hear what it sounds like.
I just got to skip over this part real quick. Sorry, guys. It is "Ain't Got a Dollar." It's a beautiful song. And it's remarkable. I'm going to unmute your microphone as well, honey. But remarkable that he just did it with a phone. And it kind of proves that, like, I have so many people, so many friends who don't want to start things because they're like, oh, I got to get the money and my channel, this and that.
But you don't.
Like, you just start with what you have.
Yeah.
So it's the greatest advice my friend Mike gave me. He's like, start with what you have. He's like, you don't got a camera. You got this little camera here. Actually, this one right here. He's like, just start with what you have. You never know what it can turn into. Let's make sure that this is.
I was just trying to leave him out for the world in case
you died?
Yeah, in case I guess in case either I died from a heart attack or
do you
like
know how huge these songs would be if you died? I think that's like the most horrible rumor about Jimi Hendrix is that his manager was like a gangster, had him killed. His manager had him killed because
made him more of a legacy
because he was going to
artist.
leave and he owned the music while Jimmy was alive, and if Jimmy died, he would get the music, and they killed him.
Yeah, maybe I thought I figured that was the only thing I had that was worth anything, and so if I was going to be a shitty enough person to leave a kid behind and whatever, my family and whatever else, it's at least there'd be something there for them to be able to capitalize on and make.
Wow. So that was the thing that sparked this idea for the episode. The Jimi Hendrix manager possibly responsible for Jimmy passing away.
Yeah, not only responsible, straight up murder.
Yeah. Well, when I say passing away, I'm trying to avoid that word.
Okay, sorry.
She's
I don't
new,
know the rules.
She's new. She's new to the podcast.
I just talk.
She's new to YouTube and all the bars that they have set up all around us.
Can you even say that?
What, that? We'll find out. That's how it works. You just got to find out. Yeah. You say it and then you're like, oh, okay, I guess I wasn't supposed to say that.
What do they say? F around, find out?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But you got to say F around here.
Yeah.
But that is, that's what we're going into. And that's why. And there's some connections that I'm going to make as we go on. So what do you want to do first for that part of everything? The Jimmy part. Do you have something to read right off the bat? The thing I sent you?
Yeah, the article is
Let me know which one it is and I'll pull it up.
It's the one from the rap.
Okay, no problem. I will pull that up right now. Let's pull it up. The rap, you said?
Yep.
Bang, there it is.
So the third paragraph there says, before becoming Jimi Hendrix's manager, Michael Jeffrey had been a covert op for British intelligence. According to one of his original clients, Eric Burden of the Animals, Jeffrey often boasted of his 007 escapades during the Cold War, including staging assassinations in Greece, torturing KGB agents, and blowing up Russian Egyptian bases in the Suez.
Wait, he used to just boast about this?
Yes.
Just chilling in the green room while Jimmy was playing? That kind of thing?
I guess. Just talking to people about it.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know if I believe this. So I had to look it up. And it's actually a true known thing that he was in the National Service from 1951 and then worked in the Intelligence Corps.
Wow.
So this is the manager of Jimi Hendrix.
Whew. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds so unbelievable. He was just probably in the green room. He's like, yeah, I'm quite a 007 myself, if I say so.
Yeah, right?
Staging assassinations and whatnot. And people were just like, okay, man. He's obviously doing the same drugs Jimmy's doing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just not believe him, obviously. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did he was in intelligence, which is basically... Wait. British intelligence, would that be MI6?
Yes.
Wow. Jeez. I
Yeah.
know about MI6. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
crazy,
incredible.
And then it goes on to say the Animals singer, who was another group that this guy managed.
Yeah.
Jimmy's future close friend took these stories as drunken tall tales until early one morning, the former M16 or MI6, right?
Yes.
MI6 agent invited him out to the London harbor, where the U.S. 7th Fleet happened to be trolling for some lost nukes. His manager emerged from the water in scuba gear, holding a black box. Pointing out to the armada, the ex-spy pulled a switch. Suddenly, the harbor was rocked with underwater explosions.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
So that was one guy's account of what happened.
That's...
Whether it's true or not, who knows? But it is true that he was definitely in the intelligence corps for the UK.
This guy sounds wild.
Yeah. So just setting the stage a little bit with who Michael Jeffrey is.
Yeah, because people... Joe Rogan said in that clip, the guy was like a gangster type.
Yeah.
But it turns out he wasn't like gangster type. He was more like a organized, like intelligence type.
Yes.
Which can be confused pretty easily.
Yeah.
Especially when we're talking about any kind of violence or anything. Okay, so what else? What else? I know we have this whole article, but what else were you thinking of?
Well, just like in terms of his death, it was just very suspicious. Mm-hmm. So he had died of what they said barbiturate overdose, which I think is just like heroin.
Yes, he was deep into that, yeah.
Okay. But when they...
Oh, and anytime you say that, just say H. There
okay.
H will good.
All right, got it. Okay. But he was found with a ton of like red wine in his throat and lungs. But when they did an autopsy, he didn't have very much alcohol in his blood. Like he wasn't drinking a lot. Mm-hmm. So what they tried to do was they used like a sucker thing to clear the airway as soon as he got to the hospital, like hoping that they could revive him. But the doctor said there was just a ridiculous amount of fluid in his lungs. So more than just like if you are going to OD, than just having a sip and like choking on it.
Yeah. I have an article here where it says it's just so much that he didn't have the ability to cough, so he drowned easily.
Yeah.
Having so much that he would drown from it.
But then his friends after the fact said he didn't even drink red wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what this article says as well, right down here.
Yeah.
According to his friends, he didn't actually drink red wine, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. That right there, for me, and don't let me become a detective, because I would go down that rabbit hole pretty easily. It seems like a no-brainer. And so then he's filled with wine. Did he drink wine? No, not at all. Okay.
Yeah.
It's an open case then, till I figure this out.
Well, the cause of death was like listed as, like it wasn't closed officially as an OD.
Okay.
For like 20 years after his death.
Really?
A really long time.
Wow. That's so interesting because, well, I can't say that I was talking about Jimi Hendrix decades and decades ago, but the story has always been that was what happened.
Yeah.
That's always been the case of, he's always brought up in the conversation of artists that took it too far when it came to, those substances. Mm-hmm. Always. But it wasn't even that at first. Wasn't said to be that at first, which is crazy.
Like they were investigating it. Like they knew he had those substances in his system, but they didn't know for sure if that was the actual cause.
Wow. Jeez.
And then another crazy thing I found was he was in a relationship with a girl named Colette, who was from Morocco. Mm-hmm. So she took him on vacation with her to Morocco. Mm-hmm. And they met Colette's grandfather. And Colette's grandfather had married this younger woman who was a clairvoyant.
Oh, really?
And she told them a year from now, you won't be friends anymore. And the Colette assumed that meant that he would find another woman and they just wouldn't know each other anymore. Mm-hmm. But Jimmy seemed to think that meant a different thing and that he wouldn't be around anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So then this clairvoyant read the tarot cards and the death card turned up.
Can't be anytime. I'm going to tell my son this. I tell my friends this. If a girl pulls out the tarot cards,
run.
Don't talk to that girl anymore. I'm telling you, don't. Because she's making a lot of decisions based on those cards. She's probably doing it all the time. She's opening herself up to some dark stuff.
Yeah.
Unless she knows how to tame it and how to be around that type of thing, you got to steer clear.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Got to steer clear. That's just too much.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he started counting down then. So he would tell her, he was like, only 8 months left, only 6 months left.
Wow.
And when she asked what he meant, he said, I'm going to die before I'm 30.
Wow. See, that's interesting. That's interesting because it's like a clairvoyant says this. Also, if you're a clairvoyant, unless you're asked, don't just bring stuff like that
Yeah,
up.
That's crazy.
If you're one of those people.
They probably asked, though.
maybe, like, what do you see for us? I don't know. But that's, even if I could do that, if someone did, I wouldn't tell them.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I can't see.
Especially if it's something like bad like that.
Yeah, I'd be like, it's
where they're
static.
going to be thinking about it all the time.
I can't see around you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Connection. I can't do it. I would just make something up. But
yeah.
Ugh, that's so weird. And then he started counting down. The thing about that is the clairvoyant says that, and there's this whole occult magical thing that's around that as he's counting down, and then it happens. Maybe he spoke it into existence. But also there's the whole thing of the 27 Club.
Yeah.
Where people pass away at 27. He's a part of that club. But also he could have signed up. A lot of people don't talk about this kind of stuff, but he could have signed up to pass away early. Could have easily signed up, like the same way someone who's on the 27 Club, this gentleman named Robert Johnson, I believe his name is.
Okay.
He's like this amazing guitar player, incredible guitar player, and he has a song where he talks about getting with the devil. He's like, I met the devil, and I sold my soul to the devil. Oh, it even says it right here. Robert Johnson allegedly sold his soul to the devil in exchange for the supreme skill with the guitar. So when you do that kind of thing, when you do sign up for that type of stuff, you will pass away early because the devil has to collect on what you've signed, what you've pledged.
Yeah.
So you get your skill. It's like it's like a genie, and you're like, make me big and strong, and then it like makes you the size of a building, and now you can't like talk to your friends, like stuff like that. Make me really smart, and then you're smart for like 6 months, and your brain like oozes and falls out of your nose, like weird stuff like that.
Yeah. But there was also a crazy piece about a conversation he had with his friends a month before he passed away.
What was that?
He was talking about a dream that he just had. And in the dream he had an encounter with Queen Cleopatra of Egypt. He slept with her. And then he said he drowned in the wine.
In the wine?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Right? And then there was wine all in his lungs when he died.
That becomes really weird. But that actually reminds me of XXXTentacion. He was a young singer, rapper, and he was always talking about how he was going to pass away. And he would constantly talk about it. And he was like 18 when he was talking about this. And he even said, like a month or so before he passed away, he tweeted out, because technology is different now. He tweeted, I'm either going to be extremely successful or I'm going to die, or both. And then he died and became extremely successful. Like all of his music, like crazy.
That is crazy.
Like outdid Drake in streams, like everything. Like he just outdid everybody. It was nuts.
Huh.
Had like #1 songs on I think rap and R&B charts at the same time.
Wow. And
maybe even another genre. Like he was just out of control with that type of thing. So I don't know. And he had a song also like Robert Johnson. He had a song called I Met the Devil in Miami, and he said everything's going to be fine.
Wow.
That's what the song's called. And he says in the song, he does it very masterfully. He's very good with lyrics. And he says, like, the thing that the devil wanted that I gave him was my soul. He says anima vista. It's like a different language. It means the soul, basically. So he's saying that he gave up his soul to the devil. Then he passed away. Same with Robert Johnson. And, Jimi Hendrix perhaps doesn't have any lyrics like that. I don't actually know, because he's more known for his guitar solos. Like, that's what I know him for more than anything. I don't know him for his lyrics, but maybe he did the same thing. Maybe he has songs about it. Who knows?
Maybe.
So, what else did you find out?
Oh, there's also a theory that the CIA wanted to have him killed.
Because he was involved with that guy?
No, because it was the first time a black artist was making waves in a white genre, like rock and roll.
Really?
Yeah. So he was kind of intermixing cultures. And he was definitely like a countercultural influence.
Symphony for the Devil by Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. See, this is why we pray every morning, honey. Because of things like this. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we don't do that.
You know?
We don't do stuff like that.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth. I'm a man of taste. Been around for a long, long time. Stole many men's souls and faith.
Huh.
I was around when Jesus had his moment of doubt and pain. Yeah, okay. A lot of these people in the industry, they sign up for stuff like this. And then he has the last part. It's like, what's my name? What's my name? What's my name? I am Lucifer. Woo.
Ooh.
I'm not reading that anymore.
Nope.
But yeah. See?
Yeah,
And I'm
you're
sure
right.
every
It's a lot.
artist that's involved in that whole 27 Club, you can find a lyric or a song or this or that has the same thing. We were just watching The Simpsons where Homer Simpson was singing a song about the devil, Satan is my lady.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. And what was he doing? I forget. There was like...
He was playing the guitar. He wanted to become an artist.
Okay.
He was like, I'm going to be a famous guitarist.
Yes,
And he
thank you.
was
And then
singing,
we were talking about it.
Right? It's crazy.
And I also found that clip weird because he kept like looking up.
Oh, yeah. Looking up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Simpsons are connected to some stuff. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure.
They're connected to some weird stuff. But yeah, how about that? So you're talking about the connection to the CIA.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like connection there. It was just a kind of a small theory.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't find a lot about it.
A small theory in what respect?
Just in that there isn't like any real evidence or anything.
Okay.
It was just theorized, and I found it interesting because it was like because of the intelligence link with his manager as well.
Well, I find that interesting too, right? And this actually goes back to something that we've talked about. When we talk about Laurel Canyon, when we're talking about the mid 60s and 70s being linked to rock artists coming out of nowhere and transforming the anti-war movement from gentlemen who were dressed like Jordan Peterson and clean cut to guys who look like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
You know, like you were commenting how they're all dressed like they're in a play.
Yeah.
Because of how they look. Yeah. So that happened with Laurel Canyon. You know, we're going to do more episodes on this. I believe it was Jim Morrison. His father was like a high up general. Jimi Hendrix served in the military as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I forgot to even bring that up.
So they're all like connected through the military.
They're all connected through the military. Not always the intelligence, but definitely through the military. They've all served, right? Like I was talking about J. Cole, who's a successful rapper, Martin Lawrence, you know, both born in Germany on military bases. And then they come to America and they influence the youth.
Interesting.
Martin Lawrence influenced black culture like you wouldn't believe. Like his show was like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of its time.
Yeah.
Like it was really impactful. Really funny, really impactful as well. Really endorsed a lot of ratchet behavior. That's what you'd call it today. He had ratchet women in his show before Ratchet. But then also he had like a light-skinned lady who was like, you know, his girlfriend, and she was good, but she also had ratchet moments. It was a funny little thing, but you have no idea how much stuff like that can influence somebody. Right? Somebody who's watching it every single day.
Yeah, true.
Right? Every single day. And then you have the intro music and everything. It kind of draws you in. It kind of hypnotizes you. Served military. Yeah, what did Jimi Hendrix do in the military? I forgot. What did he do? Famous veteran. Yeah, there you go. Jimi Hendrix. There you go. Boom. Famous veteran. So he did serve. There you go. Well known for rocking out. He was a soldier. Cut his teeth as a soldier in the army. And didn't exactly set the world on fire. Yep. There you go.
Huh.
So he served as well. Right?
So you're saying the theory is...
The theory is that all of these artists that were coming up in the 60s, and it's so funny because I'm reading this And young James Marshall Hendrix stint in the Army wasn't necessarily voluntary. He was already honing his guitar skills in 1961 with a run-in with the law. So he was forced into this. So for all you know, he could get forced into intelligence of some kind. Because it's like you're in it.
Yeah.
And you're honing these guitar skills already. And we have this operation where we need people who have crazy guitar skills to get into the music industry and start influencing these people in a certain way. And it all happened in this weird place of Laurel Canyon. Like a lot of it was happening there, as well as things were happening with Manson at that time. There was a lot of different, we have to do like a whole episode on everything that was happening in Laurel Canyon from 1962 to like 1970.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because I'm telling you, there's a lot. But there's a connection there with with serving. So he served. This guy was in intelligence, his manager. Michael Jeffrey is his name.
Yeah.
And then you want to hear the funny connection that I have?
Yeah.
And it's a funny connection, but a lot of people in the comments have talked about this before, talking about handlers and Jamie being Joe's handler and stuff. Here's a funny one, and I'll explain this because it's not fully explained in this clip here. Joe Rogan.
You scared me the other day, though. You had Eddie on the ropes, right? He was thinking you went back with the CIA.
What? What?
Yeah, you got
Saying
people
Eddie?
on
back
the
with
ropes.
the CIA.
Sure.
What are you talking about?
You know, he's not with the CIA. Who knows?
What?
Nothing. Okay.
What the fuck are you saying?
Don't worry about nothing. Either cheap at you. It's the 4th of July. What do you give a fuck? You scared me the other day.
So in this clip, Joey's like talking about how, you scared me the other day. I thought you went back to the CIA. I had Eddie on the ropes. He's talking about Eddie Bravo. So Joey Diaz convinced Joe Rogan's friend, like big conspiracy guy, Eddie Bravo, that Joe Rogan was in the CIA.
Oh my gosh.
So Eddie started getting real, apparently how the story goes. Eddie started getting real sketchy around Joe. He's like, is this guy really in the CIA? This, that. And then a lot of people who watched Joe started thinking the same thing. They started thinking Joe is controlled opposition. He's controlled. Although Joe has no military background. He has nothing of the sort. Nothing at all. But they were like, this guy's controlled. He's CIA. That's why he's allowed to say all these things. That's why his podcast is so big. They're saying a bunch of things. But the funny thing is, and is it here?
You scared me the other day.
It's not here. Is that Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan Jimi Hendrix background. Let me pull that up for you real quick. So Joe Rogan used to have Jimi Hendrix as his background.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
The old one.
Yeah, back in the day.
On like the brick.
Yeah, back in the day, he used to have Jimi Hendrix behind him all the time. And people would always talk about, at this time is when people would really talk about Joe Rogan being, like in this era of the podcast, people would talk about him being controlled and he's part of the CIA, this, that.
And part of it was because of that?
Well, I don't think anybody really made the connection, but like now that you're saying this guy's manager was in the intelligence, Jimmy has a not intelligence background but a military background around the time when a lot of military and intelligence people were infiltrating rock music.
Yeah.
And then Joe has this guy behind him, right? It's like there's this weird connection to all this stuff. So people think Joe's in the CIA. There's a little rumor about Jimmy being connected to people in intelligence. Maybe Joe had this because he knew. He's like, I know about Jimmy.
Wow.
My brother in arms. Maybe that's why I got Joe behind me.
Huh?
But it's just a funny thing. When you told me that his manager was in intelligence, I'm like, oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Also, when you're talking about this, Jimi Hendrix has a big album. You know what his big album is called?
No.
He has a really big album. You know what it's called? You don't know about Jimi Hendrix's album?
Not really, no.
You don't know about Jimi Hendrix, eh?
No.
Yeah, because your dad's not really from that era. Your dad was listening to, what were we listening to?
I don't know.
It's like old oldies. But that's
oldies?
Yeah, your dad when he was listening to stuff. But that's what Jimi Hendrix album's called. Look at the screen.
I can't see the screen.
You can't see it?
No.
Look at it. What does it say?
The Jimi Hendrix Experience? Oh, like the Joe Rogan Experience.
Joe Rogan named his podcast after this album.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That wasn't just the album name. That was his group name.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like a weird little connection there.
It'd be crazy if like Joe Rogan's last name started with an H.
With an H?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That'd be it. It'd be done.
Because then it'd be the JHE for both.
But I just always found that funny. Well, I mean, I didn't always I found as soon as you said that,
That's
that his
so
manager
weird.
was in intelligence, and now there's some weird connection to the CIA and Jimi Hendrix, and there has always been a rumor of Joe Rogan being in the CIA as well.
And that picture behind him isn't just Jimi Hendrix. It's the whole band, which is the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
No, I think it is just Jimi Hendrix.
Is it?
I think so.
But who are those other guys?
Well, that's Elvis.
Oh,
The other person?
okay.
Yeah, that's Elvis. So he had Elvis. And this picture, this is when Jimi Hendrix got arrested. So these are like real mugshots.
Oh, okay.
So he just had mugshots of like famous people.
Got it.
But it's just always funny that Joe Rogan named this podcast after this guy that you're saying has CIA links and this and that.
Wow.
And it all ends with me being in the CIA because I have a picture of Joe Rogan behind me. Oh, that's it. Oh, gosh.
Yep.
But here's another clip. Let's listen to this clip. I find this very interesting. This is Lex Fridman talking to Joe Rogan about the CIA. And Lex Fridman, he's around my age, so he's probably heard the rumors as well. Just listen to this conversation, how this conversation plays out. I'm gonna make sure you can hear it. All right, let's get into this.
But the point is, it seems like there's no line they're not willing to cross for the purpose of gathering intelligence, for the purpose of controlling people in order to gather intelligence. Now, this is MI6, FSB. There's not much information about the FSB or the GRU, but the KGB. So we're always like 20 years behind or more on the actual information. And so I started to wonder. So I have not officially been contacted by any intelligence agency, but I start to wonder, well, is there somebody I know that's doing that? Undercover CIA or undercover FSB, undercover anything?
You probably do.
Have you asked yourself this question?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, people that have been on my podcast. Yeah, for sure.
You think there was a guest that may have been?
100%.
Oh, man.
I would imagine.
Would you know?
I have suspicions.
Do you care? Is this...
I mean, it depends on what they're attempting to do, right? Like, if I felt like there was some deception involved and they were trying to use the podcast to manipulate a narrative in a deceptive way to trick people into things, yeah, I would care.
But this is exactly those are the kind of things they do. They do plant narratives.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine if you have the #1 podcast in the world, that people would want to infiltrate that.
Yeah, there's probably meetings in all major intelligence agencies about, okay, what are the large platforms? How do we spread the message?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing that really emerged when we were talking about during my cancellation, that there's there's no objective analysis of this in mainstream media. There's clear narratives that they're trying to push forward to, whether it's to promote certain ideas or to diminish the power and reach of people who are mavericks or people who are, who aren't connected to a system that you can't compromise. That's where it gets dangerous, right? Where it gets dangerous is when someone has the largest reach, but is also completely detached. And
so that was just their little exchange there.
That was so crazy.
It's just so funny where he's just like, do I know anybody that's in the intelligence? He's like, yeah, you probably do.
Yeah.
You probably do.
That's so suspicious.
I love it. That's
so funny.
one of my favorite rumors, conspiracies, that Joe Rogan's in the CIA. I love it.
Huh.
That's like my favorite one. My second favorite is that you're my handler. That's my second favorite.
That I am?
Yeah, you're my handler.
Oh, okay.
You're in the CIA. But if I'm in the CIA, you're my handler. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? We're both like lying to each other. We're both in the CIA, undercover, trying
my
to fool
gosh.
each other.
It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. Is that what they're called? Like Angelina?
Yeah, they're both like agents and they don't know.
But that with Joe Rogan is really, really interesting. That's a really interesting connection that I was making there with him and Jimi Hendrix. I was like, I
Interesting.
wonder.
Yeah.
That would be so fun. That'd be the best.
Huh.
That'd be the best. Like, shit, imagine they were able to do that. Shout out to them.
Yeah, I don't think
CIA,
they're.
how great would that be?
Yeah, right?
They got the biggest platform
They
in the
wish
world,
they could do that.
right? There's definitely files on Joe Rogan. There's definitely files.
100%.
There were files on George Carlin. He was a comedian.
Really?
Yeah, he was a comedian. I often think of Joe Rogan as the new George Carlin, because Joe Rogan doesn't go super political and anti-establishment in his stand-up, but he does in his podcast. And the one thing I always notice about George Carlin, because, you know, I'm really into stand-up, is that people wouldn't laugh as much as they would applaud.
Oh.
When he would say punchlines, they would applaud, because he was saying the things that everybody wanted to
So he's
say
more
out
like
loud.
preaching.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost like this comedy preaching where people would get together and hear the gospel of like anti-government.
Wow.
And it was always so great. And he has that bit where he talks about, you know, he says it's a big club and you ain't in it. Like, he's just talking about like the whole establishment, the deep state and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
and I noticed like Joe Rogan has a lot of that when he's in his podcast. Like he really cuts into that. No matter if he's interviewing one of his friends or he's interviewing guys who just like build cars, he always ends up getting into something that's anti-government, anti-establishment.
That's true.
Like, so it's really, really cool.
He talks about it and he's made it so mainstream.
Yeah. And he's friends with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle for sure has a file on him as well. For sure.
Yeah.
The way Dave Chappelle talks. They probably have a lot of files on people. I'll be there soon.
Yeah, if you're not already.
Yeah, right? It's been a long time. Been a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they always say that these people who are in these intelligence, they have like these big blips in their 20s of just like being gone.
Yeah.
They just kind of disappear in their 20s. So I didn't have that. I kind of had that, but I went to work. I was working.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? What do you want from me? I was trying to figure it out. I was depressed. I was sad. And then I met you.
Yay.
Isn't that crazy? Right when I got out of my 20s.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're young, you're in your 20s, and it's a bad time, don't worry. It'll get better.
Yeah.
It gets better. 30s aren't the end of the world. Sometimes it's just the beginning. You know? It's true. Sometimes it is.
Mm-hmm.
Feel better than ever. So what else towards this Jimi Hendrix thing?
Well, Michael Jeffrey, the manager.
Wow, we didn't even touch on him yet.
No,
The
barely.
actual- yeah, let's get into him.
I don't
more.
have a ton on him other than he was just kind of he sounded like a bully of a manager.
Yes.
And just overly controlling. There were a bunch of like legal disputes between him and Jimi Hendrix because Jimi Hendrix didn't like the way his contract was written. Because most of the profits were going to the record company and management.
Wow. Yeah, that's how it was.
Which I heard was very common
Yeah.
then. And it said Jimi Hendrix would make like, I think it was like $100,000 per gig.
Whew,
But Michael Jeffrey was becoming like a millionaire off of him.
Jesus.
So he was getting more
Could you
than
imagine?
the person doing the work.
Yeah. They always try and pull that off. They're still doing that to this day to
Yeah.
rappers. Like, it's gotten better, but it's still just as bad.
Like to everybody.
Yeah, they do
Have
it to
you
everybody.
seen this? Have you heard of Scooter Braun?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, he did that with Justin Bieber. He's done that with a couple of huge names.
Ariana Grande,
Huge
Taylor
names.
Swift. He just fumbled them all,
Yep.
which is crazy. Just because I don't know, they can't figure out how to like be nice.
They can't figure out how to be decent. It works a certain way. It's always worked that way, and they think that it's just gonna always be like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a very sad situation because a lot of these rappers that people look up to, a lot of these artists that people look up to, they are in some ways very much enslaved to their managers and their PR teams and their record labels and the executives. They have to listen to what they have to say. They have to do what they say, or else their whole career, everything that they've worked for, sometimes their entire lives will be taken away. And they don't know what to do. And they sign some bad contracts.
Yeah,
and
especially when they're starting out because it's
Yeah.
just so exciting.
you just don't know what else to do.
And then you sign on for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, and you don't realize what you're signing on for. You think you're signing on to be like an artist and make music and everyone's going to get to hear it, but then all of a sudden it's like they're making money off of you with clothes, your music, your anything you do outside, anything that you would deem outside of the record label, they're still taking money.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of rappers get signed to deals that are called 360 deals, and it just means everything.
Oh, that's crazy.
You're getting like
Like
we're
you are
taking-
now ours.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. That's where the whole thing of, well, I mean, there's real rituals that go on, but also, you know, in a sense, like that's also the selling of your soul because you're selling your likeness.
Yeah.
I think Dave Chappelle talked about that. Dave Chappelle was like, I can't do the show Chappelle Show because they own that. Like Chappelle Show is something they own now.
That's crazy.
Like my name, like Miley Cyrus. Disney owned Miley Cyrus. That's not her real name, but it was like a nickname that she always had growing up.
Yeah.
From her parents, and Disney owned it. And the reason she went crazy is so they would be like, we don't, this name is
so like
worthless.
disowned her.
Yeah.
True.
That's how she got it back. Some people say that's what Kanye was doing as well. Because Kanye was like, I want to get out of these deals. How can I do it?
Yeah.
And apparently...
Go nuts, make nobody want to touch you.
And he did it. Every single place released him where they wanted to keep him for like decades, forever.
Yeah.
You got to do some wild things.
Crazy.
You got to do some wild things. And, you know, in the pursuit of that whole thing, you could lose your whole career. Yeah. Luckily for Miley Cyrus, like she's still loved by many. Taylor Swift, I think, didn't Taylor Swift like make her whole discography again?
She re-recorded everything so she could own it.
Yeah. Prince did that. Prince did something similar. That's why he changed his name to a symbol. Yeah. To escape the record labels. Like, it's crazy what you have to do.
Crazy.
It's a wild industry. It's like, that's why when somebody mentions a manager, you know, potentially taking the life of one of their artists,
and it's not shocking. Yeah.
Not at all.
Exactly.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Especially Jimi Hendrix. That's like having a Picasso after Picasso dies.
Yeah.
Like, you have his discography, you have all his music.
Yeah,
that's an instant $250 million.
Yeah.
And everybody could see it with Jimi Hendrix. Everybody knew he was the best.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, there was no arguments amongst, from Eric Clapton to the Beatles, everybody knew he was the greatest. So.
But some of the stuff that was going on right before Jimmy died was he dismantled the band Jimmy and the Experience. Mm-hmm. And decided to start touring with an all-black band.
Oh, really? They weren't black guys?
No.
Oh, cool.
I think maybe one of them was, but it wasn't like all black.
Wow.
So he went to this all-black band instead and was looking to drop Jeffrey as his manager and go to this other guy who
black
was
manager?
Like, I don't think so. Just like a British guy.
Oh, okay.
But
more
he was,
British guys. What's going on? Like, he must have been, I don't know.
Well, rock and roll in the 70s was like...
It's just so funny that, like, British intelligence may be involved, but then also he's constantly staying in Britain. Like, maybe he did have some kind of connection.
Yeah, right?
Because it wasn't voluntary. Him being in the army wasn't voluntary. Maybe anything that he had to do in terms of being a part of intelligence wasn't voluntary. It was like, listen, you play the guitar, you're doing this. Mm-hmm. And this is your manager.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the guys.
The handler, yeah.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
So he was looking to drop Jeffrey, and he had changed the band to something Jeffrey didn't agree with because he wanted to keep the Experience.
Of course.
So Jeffrey took out a huge life insurance policy on Jimi Hendrix. Mm. So when he died, he collected $2 million.
Wow.
Which then, of course, was a lot more than it is today. Mm-hmm. And then that was in 1970 when he died. And then 3 years later, Michael Jeffrey died in a plane crash over France.
Wow.
So that was 1973. But it said his remains were never found because the plane was just like obliterated.
Wow.
Yeah. So some people believe that he just checked in his luggage, like checked in at the airport and then just like slipped out.
That makes perfect sense. But also, he's an intelligence guy. He could have easily just been like, I'm just going to jump out of the plane. This is simple.
That too.
Like, I know how to land. I know how
he
to
could have been
shoot.
the one that caused it. You never know.
Yeah. He
it's
could
crazy.
be like, I'm just going to jump out. It's easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
And he was also due in London the very next day to defend himself in court against several lawsuits relating to
come on.
embezzlement, money laundering,
this
fraud.
guy didn't pass away.
Exactly.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
There's no way I believe that.
No.
There's absolutely no way he just passed away.
No.
No, that's a little too convenient.
There's too much.
That's a little too convenient. Wow. Smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Smart guy. That's what you would do, right? If you were trying to escape embezzlement and all this stuff, trying to keep all the money that you had. And then also it's like, you're a millionaire. Like, you can make it happen. You could escape. You could leave.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a part of intelligence. Just that alone.
Yeah, you'd have connections all over the world.
Well, even that, it could be your mission's done. Jimmy's gone. We're good. Just go back to your regular position. 007. And he goes, okay. So how do we wrap it up? Just plane crash.
Yeah.
Just make it look like plane
crash.
crash. You know what to do, right? Yeah. Okay. No problem.
True. And
Done.
there was a guy that worked for Jeffrey named James Wright, and he wrote a book in 2009 called Rock Roadie.
What's that about?
I don't really know.
Rock roadie.
Rock Roadie. Probably, I guess, his experience of being a roadie, being in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that Jeffrey confessed to him to the murder.
What?
And he said that son of a bee was going to leave me. If I lost him, I'd lose everything.
Wow.
That's what he claimed.
Wow. That's makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. You know, like people were actually talking about, a lot of people have been talking about, I shouldn't say a lot, but in the hip hop community, a lot of people were touching on the fact that I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might be 6 artists who the record labels took out big life insurance policies on, and all of those artists died.
That's so bad.
From XXXTentacion, there was a few people where they all passed away.
I
All
feel like
from
you
shootings and
shouldn't
stuff.
be able to take out a life insurance policy on somebody that you don't have any family connection to.
Yeah, you would think.
It's very dark otherwise.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's very, very odd that you're allowed to do that.
Like if we're each other's life insurance beneficiary, that makes total sense. People
Yeah.
do that all the time. Married
married.
couples, for their kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Even for, like, I don't know, sister, brother,
Yeah,
mom, dad.
family.
Makes total sense.
But when it's an entity that has
it's wrong.
no connection to
It's
you,
so wrong.
that doesn't like you, that you could be in dispute with,
Yeah.
like, that's the weird thing.
Yeah.
Like,
And
at
it's
least
like,
check into that part. Like, are you fighting with this person?
can you just take one out
Yeah.
on anyone? Like, can I take one out on, like, our neighbor right now?
Yeah.
Just because? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
But here's the thing, in the record in the music industry, that's the problem. These people you're not really looked at as this guy, and are you family to him? It's like, this is our product.
Yeah.
We're allowed to insure our products. Why wouldn't we? Just makes
Yeah, that's
sense. He's a
crazy.
liability. We pay for everything he does. We pay his salary, and he's off doing drugs and all sorts of stuff. We have to insure ourselves.
But then you think it would be like, then you insure his works. Like you would insure having the master copies of the work.
But that's the thing. If you own the masters, then you own the masters. If your artist owns the masters, then you need to take out that insurance policy.
Yeah, I guess.
Because if he owns them and he hasn't said who they're supposed to go to,
Yeah.
then they'll go to you because you've put out the insurance.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 100%.
That's horrible.
There's so many disputes in hip hop, especially hip hop, because so many young people get signed up and people just don't own their masters. Like Jay-Z had a really, really long battle with his manager, Damon Dash, over the masters of his first album. And he's like, give me the masters.
Yeah.
But Jay-Z's like a really cunning businessman. And, you know, people speculate he's a part of this whole, deep state of things. And he ended up ruining Damon Dash.
Oh, wow.
He was like, I'm going to cut you out of the clothing business. I'm gonna cut you out of this. I'm gonna
Just
you
cut him out
that.
of everything.
Yeah,
When he
yeah.
could have just handed it over and then it would be all fine.
But it's Jay-Z's first album. It's like, if I own these masters, like, these are worth more than any clothing company. It's like,
I
okay.
guess. But now he has nothing, so what's the point?
He doesn't have nothing. He has money. He keeps putting it into different things. He is still a millionaire, but yeah, it's a situation. It's
Hey,
definitely
I
a
just don't
situation.
get it. Like, just be a decent person. Work with somebody the way you'd want to be work with. You know, he could also be a billionaire. He could have been helping Jay-Z the entire way.
Yeah, and then there's the whole thing to it. Like, he could have been like that, and Jay could have been better. And there's a whole dispute that they've had throughout time.
That's crazy.
It's been like decades long, and and then one accuses the other one of snitching and talking to like agents and stuff like that, and it's all over the place. Again, back to intelligence. But yeah, there's so many disputes over masters. Diddy, like P. Diddy, taking people's masters, not giving them back.
Huh.
It's just it's wild. It's a wild thing. So when someone owns their masters, it says a lot.
Yeah.
when they own their masters, because not everybody does. You don't work out that deal at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's hard to. It's hard. So if you don't own them, that's it. You'll never own them unless you buy them. And it's going to cost a lot of money because that person's going to want to make money.
Yeah, that's true.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep. But I would say I think that Michael Jeffrey killed him.
And yes, and also the last thing of the masters, like in the P. Diddy and this guy Mace wanted his masters. He's like, let me buy them for like $2 million. And Diddy's like, no. He's like, are you silly? Like, why would I do that? I want more money. And apparently Mace just has to wait until he turns 52 or something. There's a certain amount of time where your masters come back to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But if you notice, with everything we're talking about, these people don't live to that time.
Oh, wow.
So if I'm supposed to give your masters back to you by the time you're 50, but you don't live until 27, you only live till 27, well, they're mine.
That's crazy.
That's it. And the interesting thing with this Michael Jeffries would be, who owns those masters now? Can you imagine it's like some unknown LLC?
Oh my gosh, like
It's like
BlackRock.
It's like Mike Jeffrey LLC. Mike Jeffrey Estate LLC. I wonder. But either way, he made a bunch of money. And just the fact of the red wine, he didn't drink red wine. And one, like you were reading it as well, but I read one person retelling it, and they were saying how crazy it was. It was to the point where he was just laying there. You were talking about a doctor trying to get it out of him.
Yeah.
People were saying when they found him, it was coming out of his nose and his mouth.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
And I heard it was like 400 mils.
400 mil?
Which is like the volume of wine that was like in him was 400 milliliters, which is like, I don't know, like half a liter. Like it's like a water bottle.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because a bottle of wine is 750 mils.
Okay.
So it's like 2/3 of a bottle of wine just like poured into his lungs.
Huh.
That's a lot.
Oh, wow.
Like that's not an oopsie, I swallowed the wrong way.
Yeah. Whew. That is weird. I thought it'd be more though. Like when I hear it coming out of your nose and your mouth, I'm like thinking like there's a gallon of wine inside this guy.
Well, I always try to picture too, like if you were to take a water bottle, like a standard size, and just pour it all over the floor, it's a lot.
That's true. Yeah.
Like it looks like a small amount when it's like contained.
Yeah.
But like when you start spreading it all over somebody's face, down their chest, like it's a lot.
Yeah. If you did that, I'd be pissed right now.
Exactly. It's crazy.
I'd be like, get the mop.
A little splash and I'm pissed.
What'd you do? Why'd you do that?
It's a lot. It's a lot of liquid.
That's true. That is true. What else towards this?
That was about it.
I think he did it.
I think he did it too. I think he was still alive.
I think
he
he's
faked his death.
And definitely still a part of intelligence. I think when you're a part of that type of thing, you're never out of it.
Yeah.
Because it benefits you too much to the people you have access to. And it benefits the agency as well. No matter where you go or what industry you're in, they kind of have a tap into that industry because of you.
Yep.
And I would imagine there's some kind of, not severance, but like, I feel like when you retire out of that kind of thing, I feel like you don't just cut and dry, don't get any more money.
Yeah, there's like a pension.
Yeah, pension. There you go. Yeah, I feel like there's some kind of pension going on. If you leave on the up and up, so I feel like you're never not a part of it. Especially if you're willing to go to the depths of like MI6 or CIA. It's like,
yeah, that's a lot.
You would. I'd imagine you'd have this love for it.
Yeah.
Where it's like if one of your guys calls you up and says, "I need to know about this person, and I can't be seen getting the information. Can you do it?" You'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever.
Yeah, true.
You're my guy."
You're always in that world.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you?
True.
You know? I don't know.
Crazy.
Fun times.
Fun times.
I needed to relax from all these Trump videos and Maui videos. Maui's messed up. What's going on?
Yeah, so bad.
You know, the governor was talking about, he's trying to talk to the attorney general about taking the land, buying it. Not buying it, but like taking it over and running it. And then doing a land swap with the people who lived there and putting them on a different island.
That's crazy.
Instead of just rebuilding their houses. He wanted to take the land. But then he came out with another statement. He was like, "Oh, I just wanted to buy. I wanted to have it so I could protect it." It was like,
no,
but
that doesn't make any sense.
It already belongs
It doesn't
to
belong
people.
to you.
Like, could you imagine we own a house and it's somewhere else, and somebody's just like, "Listen, I think I got to take it over to protect it." And it's like, "Hey, man, how about you just protect our house for us? Like, you're good.
Yeah.
We're friends. Just watch over the house. You don't have to take it from us.
Yeah.
Just check if the lights are on and just make sure we're good."
Like, imagine doing that for like babysitting.
Yeah.
Like, you don't got to take the kid, just to make sure he's cool.
I just think you should sign the kid over to me while you go to the restaurant. That way I can protect the kid.
Yeah.
Hey, man, just protect the kid.
Yeah.
Okay? Just make sure, just keep the blood inside the body, please. Like, it's such a wild, many
it's a
wild
weird
things
thing.
going on. And the podcast I was listening to that I've been telling you about with BJ Penn and Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
BJ Penn, well, they're both from Hawaii, but BJ Penn is like a more unpolished, like he seems like one of the people who was affected. So he's saying all the things. He's like, they're taking the land. He's like, they've eradicated the pigs. They don't let us grow food on any of the trees or like any of the plant life. He's like, what's going on? And that kind of speaks more to what I think is going on there, is that they're forcing those people into a desperate situation where they have to sell off land and they have to end up disappearing.
I heard a story from one lady who was trying to like get back to her house after the fires were finished and everything was like blocked off by the military, and she wasn't allowed to go back there. And then she ended up like sneaking in another way around, and she said the only thing that was like left standing was her wooden mailbox, which was super strange because the car was like incinerated. But she opened the mailbox, and in it there was a letter from a developer asking to buy her land.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a while, like, and the thing is, it's because it's beautiful land. Like, anybody would want to buy it. Anybody. So they've been getting hounded for decades, centuries. Tulsi Gabbard was talking about some people are like 9 centuries deep, or
Wow.
9 generations deep of living on that land.
Probably 9 centuries.
Like some are 7, some
9
are 9,
generations
some are
that you
10.
can track.
True enough, yeah. So, and it's some historic land. It's wild that this is happening to them. Like, lands, questioning whether or not they should, like, not letting them go back.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, just
like, I own this land.
wild things. And I was telling you, this guy Eric West, he actually got his Twitter account suspended or like deleted completely, just because he was interviewing people. He was just interviewing people there, just asking them what happened, what they went through.
Yeah.
Weird. And they, like, you're talking about the blockades of people going back in. So apparently when people were trying to leave, I was reading an article, when people were trying to leave, they were blocked off.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So a lot of the cars that you're seeing in these pictures are people who were trying to leave via car, weren't allowed. One guy has a story where he veered off dirt road, got around it finally, drove for 40 minutes, and it was completely safe. So it's like, why wouldn't you let those people by to go to where it's completely safe?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Very odd situation. We definitely got to do an episode on that.
Yeah, there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, there's so much. That's why I didn't want to cover it right away, because I wanted to hear all the angles. I wanted all the conspiracies to come out, but every single thing is just, it seems viable. They don't seem too outlandish. Direct energy weapons, it's a little outlandish, but nothing's
But
out of
not
the-
unheard of.
Yeah, exactly. Not unheard of. Definitely not. So, yeah, let's do an episode on that
Okay.
soon enough. Guys, if you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. We're making 1 to 3 videos a day, and I don't know anyone else that's doing that. Do you? All right, we're out of here.
Bye.
Bye.